Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to this next edition of Decision Intelligence Directors. I'm Kate Tickner. I work for Pyramid Analytics, and I'm thrilled to be introducing Dave Clarke today of Clarke Analytics. How are you, Dave?
I'm great, Kate. Absolutely fantastic. Delighted to
Brilliant.
be here
Oh,
talking
I'm
all
absolutely,
things decision intelligence.
well, quite. And I'm delighted even more that it's the week straight after all of our amazing progress in both the Gartner Magic Quadrant and the Gartner Critical Capabilities reports that any viewers can go and download from our website when ready. But let's talk about Clarke Analytics. You are a wholly owned Irish consultancy company specializing in the area of data analytics and data science, consulting, development, and training. A family business. So tell us a little bit about your background, Dave, and how you came to set up Clarke Analytics.
Well, so I've set up Clarke Analytics with my good wife Helen, and recently our son Sean also joined the company as well. So you don't have to have a surname of Clarke to join the company, but it's nice. It's nice if you do. But so serious. So I've been in the data business, for 30 years. I actually met my wife in college, so we've been together for 30 years. About 10 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, I was working in EMC, big data storage company, multinational leader in the space. My team were building big data analytic appliances, which were massive sort of pieces of infrastructure holding large amounts of data. And in the last couple of years of EMC, I was going around, EMEA, talking to customers, as to why they would want to buy this big data storage appliance. And it was about getting value from that data at those lower levels of granularity, which involved analytics. And I was surprised at just the dearth of people with skills to be able to talk analytics. What does it mean to apply analytics to big data, and to be enable those data-driven decisions, so decision intelligence way back then. And so I left EMC, joined a couple of different startups just to see what the startup scene was, and then myself and Helen set up Clarke Analytics in October 2016. So we're 6.5 years on the go.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. And so you mentioned clients there. I mean, what types of clients do you typically work with, and what are the use cases and pain points that you're usually advising them on, just so the audience can understand, where they might need to call on your services?
Yeah, so I thought back over the last couple of years, and I think our clients have sort of been in a couple of different spaces. One, it's sort of new startups, and a lot of times maybe it's university spin-outs, and those companies really they understand the importance of data. In fact, they've built their whole business model around data. And some of their challenges and concerns is, the data architectures and infrastructures that they would have had to support their startup, or, where they were initially starting in their business. They understand that as they grow and scale, that architecture may not be fit for purpose. And so we've been called into a number of different, startup, smaller companies, maybe up to maybe even 60 people, to really assess their data infrastructure to see, where the pain points may be as they scale. And then the other type of client sometimes is the larger multinationals. We do a lot of work with pharmaceutical companies, life science companies, and they may have let's say, for example, in pharma, you have $1 billion drug being manufactured. If you can really understand your manufacturing process by looking at all the data you have available to you and actually being able to pinpoint, little things that you can tweak and change in your manufacturing process to get, even half a percentage point of better quality, or more product in, protein extraction in your downstream, that can have a fundamental value. If you're talking about $1 billion drugs, even by a small number of percentages. So there's just a couple of the different types of use cases and clients that we come across.
Okay, so it's the whole impact of marginal gains theory and making tiny improvements across lots and lots of different things. Fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, based on all that knowledge you've developed, you also are a lecturer in the field of data and analytics. So why don't you tell us a bit more about your courses and the types of topic that you cover in those?
Yeah, so I lecture in a couple of different universities in Ireland. One is the Munster Technological University, MTU, based in Munster, and then the other is the Atlantic Technological University in Sligo. There's a number of different sort of colleges, but the Sligo one is the one we're working with.
Hmm.
Um, and we've taken it's very much a practitioner type of approach to
Okay.
our lecturing. Um, what we People might be familiar with, like Lean Sigma has got various different levels to it. It's got a yellow belt, green belt, black belt, right? So the nub of how we've come together with our courses is that we take this sort of practitioner approach. It's a framework approach about how do you actually go about putting together a data analytics project to solve a business problem or question. So it's not necessarily we cover all of the algorithms, we cover data architectures, but it's fundamentally about trying to build three key understandings. One is understanding the business context in
Hmm.
which data analytics gets applied. The other is understanding the data and analytical architectural context, which is the technical side of it, understanding not just the data architecture, but the analytics and the analytics architectures and use cases. And that's quite technical. And then the other key understanding is what I like to term the data value context, which is
Yeah.
really it's the methodology behind how do you bring people from the business with people who understand the data and analytical architectures together in a collaborative way to work together to understand if the data is available to answer the business question. And so that's the
Mm.
framework on which the courses are done. The university courses are a bit more involved. People have to write reports and all that, whereas I run other training in-house, which sometimes get a bit more fun. People just need to look at data and start munching the numbers and stuff. But yeah, good
Number
fun.
munching.
Great,
Excellent.
great, it's great
Okay.
eating in minds.
Excellent. Well, we've been very happy to have our very own Richard Osborne participating in one of those.
Absolutely.
So thanks for
Yeah,
that opportunity.
yeah.
And so, in the context of both your clients, I guess you'd say that the practice, and then the academic courses, which perhaps is more the theory. In context of both of those, what do you see as the main use cases for decision intelligence, as distinct from, say, business intelligence or analytics more broadly? And so, and specific to particular clients, if you've got examples or industries, perhaps you can give us an idea of what you see as the potential and usage for decision intelligence.
So, I mean, from my perspective, there's a lot about the pyramid offering around decision intelligence that is very exciting to me. I think there's a greater fluidity of data and the use of data and using data where it's actually at and placed rather than this big copying data to other places. So for example, there's a lot of my clients in the manufacturing space are heavy SAP users. And I think the ease at which a platform like Pyramid can integrate with SAP and actually not necessarily move data from SAP, but actually analyze data in SAP together with other data all together quite seamlessly. I think that's a very, very powerful thing, because the thing about decision intelligence for me is that it enables you to quickly make a decision. And I think that sort of ease of use there. I think in terms of my clients, a lot of them are in the heavily regulated industry, where data compliance and people, and governance and control
Yeah.
of data is quite important. I think the way in which Pyramid has been architected to be, server based, not like other, desktop analytics tools that you copy data down to a desktop and then you
Mm-hmm.
create a dashboard and put it back up into a cloud. The fact that that sort of level of control, because it's architected to run in servers, basically means that it's a much higher level of control and compliance, which I think is good in the marketplace. And I mean, the Pyramid is one of the few tools that's actually that actually happens. And I suppose lastly, I think as analytics and decision intelligence, but as it has integrated, there's lots of different functions that need to be done. You need to get data, you need to manage data, you need to, munge data, you need to prepare data for analytics, and to be able to do all of that in one tool rather than having to get multiple tools to do multiple different things is quite neat as well, I think, right? So I think there's a few things setting Pyramid apart in the market and in terms of the newer sort of decision intelligence sort of fora.
Thank you. That's great. And so that's kind of today. I mean, what future trends do you anticipate in the world of analytics and decision intelligence? What's coming next in your view, or perhaps what's needed next? What's missing?
I think we actually did some research 4 or 5 years back, just in the area around trustworthy AI. And it was just sort of in its embryonic stage at that stage, and people were beginning to talk about it, and we weren't at a size really to be able to take control of that. But certainly what I saw back then and what I've seen in the last 6 months or 9 months with people like your chat GPTs and GPT-4 and generative AI, I think, and not necessarily those particular products or that are coming out there. I think generative AI certainly is going to force conversations around trustworthy AI and maybe some compliances and some regulations and some a certain amount of just much wider discussions there beyond the technology. And I think the technology for a long time, for quite a while, has been far ahead of the human race's ability to harness it correctly and fully. And I think it's to me, analytics has always been 90% people and process to get it right, which is, enables your decision intelligence and bringing people on board with you. But also, I think the whole trustworthy AI and that debate is one that's only going to get louder, and there's going to be, a lot of thoughts and serious thinking to be done in terms of how we use the technology that we have available to us now for the better.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think what also people seem to forget sometimes is this whole area of augmented analytics, which is taking AI and using it to make the existing user experience much easier so that you can have business users applying their domain knowledge. Have you seen, that being welcomed by business users, or do you think they're still just a bit tentative, wanting to use, what they probably regard as data science?
Yeah, I think there's still tentative. We our university courses, we've released a course with a body, the Irish Centre for Business Excellence, 2 or 3 years back, and there's still a slight reticence. It doesn't matter how way you try to describe analytics in a way that doesn't sound quite mathematical. It doesn't matter how many ways you try to sort of say, well, it's storytelling with data, or it's data literacy. And I once gave a talk on data literacy, and there's all these tech writers on the course, so they're going, well, what's this about? So I'm not sure if it's the higher maths sort of effect, or whether it's people just have a view that analytics is not quite for them.
Yeah.
So, and there is that sort of fear of it a little bit, and this idea of the terminology of data literacy has come about, I think, to engender this idea of that it's telling a story, which it is, but I still see there's a slight reticence for just general people being able to use it, and sometimes it's the fault of the academics to go straight into the maths formulas rather than talking a little bit more first.
Well, let's focus in on our last question on that, our whole idea of storytelling. A little bird tells me that you're actually a trained actor and have lots of acting experience. How on earth do you balance that with data and analytics, and how do you use your storytelling skills in both roles, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely right, Kate. Somebody's been informing you very well. Yes, yeah. Many moons ago, actually, my first, so my primary degree was in applied maths and computing, and it's a tough degree. And then I went straight into software engineering and software consultancy. And I resigned from my first job to become a full-time actor.
Of course you did. What else would you do?
As you do, as you do. What else do you do, you know? So a month after I resigned, we found out Helen was pregnant with Sean. So I said to myself, okay, I'll give this 9 months and and it was great fun. You know, I co-wrote a play with a group I was working with. We brought it into a fringe festival. We got fantastic reviews. We brought it on tour. And actually through all of this time, you know, while I've been working in consulting, you know, acting training, if people who know acting training, and Stanislavski is a great acting theorist, and I was trained in some of his thinking in the Gaiety School of Acting in Dublin. But it is, you know, that sort of use of empathy and use of observing people actually helps you communicate better.
Yes.
And so that is really where, you know, 6 months into my work as a trained actor, I was actually called back twice to fix a problem with a computer system I put in place for the client I'd sort of left when I left him.
Right.
And I got 1 day's consulting revenue for that, and that was more than I'd earned in 6 months as a professional actor. And so, you know, with a young family there, and Helen hadn't married an actor, she'd married an applied mathematician. So I decided I didn't love this enough to be a pauper.
No, that's fair.
But I still do a little bit, and I joined Toastmasters as well, you know, which is another great thing. So Helen says that's my stage for one. So she's quite happy for that.
I'm sure she's always going to be eternally grateful she married a drama queen.
There you go. Absolutely. All
right. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Dave. We love working with you. So thank you so much for your time. And, you know, let us know next time you're treading the boards, we'll bring along a pyramid contingent to cheer from the wings.
Fantastic. Love it. Love it.
Thank you very much then.
Take care, Kate.
Take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye.